Well, hi, back again. And a reader recently mentioned that they would like to hear more about osteoporosis. To my surprise, we hadn't done a blog on osteoporosis, so that's what we're going to do this week. So osteoporosis, let's look at, what is it and what can we do about it? And essentially, osteoporosis means porous bones. And osteoporosis is affecting like 200 million people in the world today. And there's probably two or three times more than that who are categorized or diagnosed as osteopenia, which is kind of the precursor or weaker bones, but not full osteoporosis as a diagnosis. And what that means is that probably one in three women or one in five men over the age of 50 will experience an osteoporosis-related fracture in their life. So it's kind of a serious thing because, broken bones as we get older is a real difficulty. Um, so one of the things that we discovered early on in our health journey and working with other people is that it is reversible. Just like heart disease, for the longest time they didn't think heart disease was reversible. We see now it is very reversible. Same with diabetes. They didn't think diabetes was reversible. Now we see it's very reversible. And the basis of that is diet and lifestyle. And that's what it is with osteoporosis as well. So the reason this can work is the same way that it works with reversing heart disease or they're even looking at Alzheimer's now as being reversible. The way that works is that our bodies are always rejuvenating. And that means that the old weak cells are being replaced by new cells. And if we give our bodies what they need, these new cells can be stronger than the old cells. So that's true of osteoporosis too. Our bones are not these solid, rigid, fixed things that I used to think they were when I'd go into the doctor's office or the chiropractor's office and you'd see the skeleton hanging there and you go, oh yeah, I got one of those, and everything else hangs off that. It doesn't look like living tissue when it's modeled that way, but it is. These cells of our bones are constantly giving up nutrients that build them and building new ones back. There's things called osteoclasts and osteoblasts that move like the calcium in and take the calcium out. And this is the way that the cells are always changing and building if they need to be built. And so what seems to affect that building and rebuilding negatively is diet and lifestyle. So there are a number of things that create problems. Basically, sedentary living, a lack of weight-bearing exercise, because our bones have these little nerves attached to them. And when there's stress, the nerve notices the stress and it sends a signal to the body to build a stronger bone there. It wants these osteoblasts to put more calcium there. And that's how we develop the skeleton we have based on the stresses we put on our bones. It's a fabulous feedback system that keeps us strong through the kinds of activities that we subject ourselves to. So a sedentary lifestyle and lack of weight-bearing exercise tends to, our bodies just say, well, we don't need to be this strong. So it doesn't keep building them. Also, smoking, excess alcohol, high caffeine, that affects our bones. That all those create kind of an acidic situation, a stressful situation, and it throws that healthy balance of bone building off. And also chronic stress has been shown to influence our bone building ability. So from the diet side, what seems to create the biggest problem is the low intake of calcium-rich foods. And for the longest time, it was thought that milk and dairy, because they have a lot of calcium in the food, that was the answer. Just make sure you get plenty of calcium going in. But what the research is showing now is that because of the high acid nature of dairy, the protein in the dairy, in the milk and dairy, is very acidic. And when we add a level of acid to the system, when there's a greater acid load, the body needs to balance that with something alkaline, and calcium is alkaline. But it's interesting that even though there's a lot of calcium coming in with milk and dairy, the acid load is such that it takes more than what's in the food itself to balance it, to keep our blood level at the pH it needs. Because if our blood gets too acidic, the whole chemistry doesn't work properly and we can get sick, we can even die if that pH goes too far off. So our bodies are always monitoring the pH, the acid level in our blood, and it uses our bones as the source for balancing. So if it's too acidic, it pulls some calcium out of the bones, puts it in the blood, and that brings it back where it needs to be. If it's nice and alkaline, then it takes the calcium out of the blood, puts it back in the bones. Our bones are like this reservoir of calcium and magnesium and these other wonderful minerals that we need to balance pH and really do a lot of other metabolic functions as well. So the bones do so much more than just provide this rigid structure for everything that's going on. And in order to support a healthy bone structure, we need to eat plenty of calcium-rich foods. And if we're not doing the animal products because they're too acidic, then we want to look to greens and beans and sesame seeds, almonds. There's lots of foods, vegan foods, plant foods, what I want to say, that provide plenty of calcium. Now, another thing that we need for strong bones, for the whole strong bone building mechanism to work properly, is vitamin D. And that, of course, is produced by being out in the sun. We can produce our own vitamin D. But up here in Canada, and with a lot of lifestyle with the lifestyle many of us have, we're not in the sun that much. So it's a good idea to supplement to make sure we have plenty of vitamin D, because that's a big part of the bone building balancing mechanism. The other thing is vitamin K2. And vitamin K2 isn't very available in plants. It is in animal, but again, if you eat the animal, then you're draining the calcium. So as plant-based, as a plant-based lifestyle, we recommend that you pay attention to the K2 and maybe supplement it if you find that you're a little low. You can use a blood test to check that. And then, as I mentioned, that high acid from animal products, it also, that high acid load is created by processed foods and salt and sodium and soda consumption. So all of these things deplete the minerals in our bodies, and so it drains it out of our bones. So all those contribute to osteoporosis. So that's why we feel like a whole food plant-based diet provides everything that we need, because it eliminates all these things that tend to overload the system and pull minerals out of the body, and it provides everything we need to provide the minerals that we do need. And we've had plenty of success stories with clients that we've worked with. It's a slow fix. It's not a quick fix. It's like blood pressure. People that come to us, to help lower their blood pressure or cholesterol levels, pain from arthritis, they can see marked changes in a matter of weeks or a month or two. But with osteoporosis, that seems to be a much slower fix. But because our bones are living tissue like all the other tissues in our bodies that are what make us healthy and can regenerate. Our bones can regenerate too, but it takes longer. So that's what we found with osteoporosis. You need to really stay with it for quite a while. And lots of times there's pressure from our doctors to go onto a med so that the bones get stronger. Now, that's a typical conventional approach to dealing with osteoporosis. But the irony of that is that the way most of the meds work, like Fosamax and that, is that they kind of block the activity of the bones that pulls the minerals out. So it slows that down so that the bones on a bone density test, they start looking stronger. But what they're finding is that even though there may be more density there, it's not really a healthy bone because now it's older bone. It's not going through that nice regeneration process where it's being restored with new cells. So it's not as healthy a bone. It's an older bone and it's more brittle. So it makes the bone density scan look good, but it's not great in terms of healthy bones. So that's why we say if we look at our lifestyle and we eliminate those things that are creating the loss of minerals in our bones, and we eat the food that we need that provides plenty of minerals to build them up, we can really turn this around. So, besides the diet, the other thing that is really important, as I mentioned earlier, our bodies have this feedback loop to build bone where it needs to be built. So that's where we can make some lifestyle adjustments and do some weight bearing exercises that are as simple as walking or dancing or hiking, doing these things where we're using our bodies to carry our own weight. Get out of the chair, get out of that sedentary lifestyle, and just walk around, and that helps the bones stay healthy. We can take that a step further and get some weights at home or go to the gym and do some resistance training so that we're doing more than just weight bearing on these bones. And that is going to help them be stronger too. And then whatever we can do to reduce stress in our lives. Because stress, that cortisol, those kinds of things, they tend to deplete minerals in our bodies as well. So the good news is that osteoporosis is reversible because bone tissue is a living tissue, and the system is designed to restore that health if it's been lost. And it's just a matter of diet and lifestyle changes that created the problem in the first place. So we just need to reverse those, and we can see all that change. So we're really happy to share this with you and let you know that it's not unfixable. So that's what we've got for you this week. And the recipe that we want to share is a summer fruit salad. This was another surprise to me. I thought we had a fruit salad on our website, but I saw we didn't. And we have a friend we've mentioned before here in the Okanagan that has a beautiful organic orchard, fruit orchard. And right now, there's so much in season. So we've got peaches and plums, just finished the apricots. What else is out there? Grapes are coming on. Apples and pears, the early summer apples and pears are there. So we put together a fun summer fruit salad, and it is combined with celery and what's the other thing I put in there? Celery, put it on a bed of lettuce. Oh, a cucumber. I added some cucumber. It was a great salad. Give it a try if you're looking for something kind of fresh and light this summer before we lose all this beautiful fresh fruit. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.